We've talked quite a bit about the Dallas Cowboys today and really every day for the last 10 days. But that's what happens when training camp is underway from Oxnard, California. And our good man, Mike Leslie, is still in Oxnard enjoying a well-deserved day off. I thought he would be getting a pedicure on the massage table. No, he is just somewhere bopping around Ventura County and enjoying, looks like an overcast day there in California. But he is kind enough to join us on the line because we've got another friend of the show joining us as well. Wings CEO Greg Bibb coming to us. Are you coming to us from the Wings offices, Greg?
This is world headquarters in Arlington.
This is where the magic. That's where the magic happens.
There you go.
Obviously, we should probably address the elephant in the room because that's what we do on the show. 2027 is going to be a pretty special year for this Wings franchise, Greg. If you could just kind of walk us through how this agreement with the American Airlines Center came to be, and is there hope for it beyond 27 as well?
Well, as I think you know, because I've talked a lot about it the last couple of years, we signed an agreement with the city of Dallas in April of 2024 with the intent of playing in a renovated Dallas Memorial Auditorium starting in 2026. For a number of reasons, that has not come to fruition. Some of them our own doing. We agreed to some delays as part of our practice facility journey as well. But when it became apparent in the December timeframe that the auditorium would not be ready for 2027, began having discussions with American Airlines Center about optionality for a full season of play there next summer. You know, having played a few games there last year, playing a few games there this year, having success there, we felt like we'd be able to put on a good show in that building. We felt like we would be able to right-size ourselves in that building. So working with Dave Brown, the leadership at AAC, and they've been great, by the way, in terms of taking care of us, as well as the Mavericks. We signed a one-year deal to play our full season, which will be 25 home games next year at American Airlines Center.
Mike?
I know, it leaves me speechless, too.
Craig, I know this has been a journey to get it across kind of the final couple yards of this deal. You guys were kind of stuck on the 1 yard line for a while. What was just, if nothing else, the sense of relief to have this done, and more than anything else, maybe the joy of the timing that it works out well. That now here you go with 2 games in a 2-week span at the AAC to help kind of have this all come together at a really good time.
Yeah, I don't know if I would use the word relief because that leads you to feel like this is a fallback or some sort of inferior option to what we had. And obviously the American Airlines Center is a world-class venue. It took some time because that building is very busy. You have an NHL team, an NBA team, and one of the busiest concert and show schedules in North America. That building was not built to contemplate a third full-time tenant. So we had, space considerations that we had to deal with. But we worked through all of that. Again, credit to the American Airlines Center and the Mavericks for helping us find a way through. And the timing is very important. It was much a priority of mine as anything lately because I knew we had this game coming up on the 7th and then again on the 20th. So as I've done the rounds here the last couple of days talking about 2027, it's given me opportunity to remind folks that they do not have to wait until next summer to see the Wings play at AAC. In fact, they can do so as early as this Friday, August the 7th, when we play Golden State. And of course, you can always get your tickets at DallasWings.com.
Nice.
Yeah, I only meant relief relative to the timing, obviously. That game on Friday is pretty huge, by the way. You guys are right in the middle of a pretty significant playoff run. Teams 2 through 8 really are separated by only about 3.5 games in the standings. Tonight's game against Washington, that game on Friday, are huge from a basketball perspective, too.
Yeah, so coming into the season, my aspiration was win more than we lose and qualify for the playoffs. And I'm going to knock on wood here and hope I don't jinx us or myself or anybody else. But I feel like those 2 boxes we're going to check. I feel like we're well positioned for a playoff run. So now it starts to become, where do you fall in the standings for playoffs? 8 qualify. The top 4 have home court advantage in the first round, and the first round is a short series, it's a best of three. So that home court is really important. Right now, we sit in fourth. We're right behind third place Golden State. We're right in front of a couple other teams. That kind of, I would call it 2 through 6 or 7 right now, is very tight over the final 13, 14 regular season games. So every game from here on out is going to be a big game. But in particular, when you play that team right in front of you, it's especially important. And that's what we're going to have on Friday night at American Airlines Center.
Hey, Greg, I know this was probably a bit speculative, but a couple of years ago, I think I may have asked you the question about why not have, more games at the American Airlines Center. And I think this was pre-drafting Paige Beckers. And there was some maybe concern that, we couldn't fill up an American Airlines Center at that point. And the optics of it might not be the best for Wings basketball brand. But now we're seeing, what was it, 13, 14,000 for the Chicago game a couple weeks ago. Certainly going to see big numbers here over the next 2 weeks for the games in Dallas. Has that kind of paradigm shifted now that you've been able to see the success at the AAC, see that there is strong demand outside of, what the College Park Center could hold, and that, sometimes it takes star power and a team winning basketball games to kind of shift everything?
Yeah, I think our world's changed the last couple of years, having the good fortune to draft Paige number 1 overall before last year. And then obviously, being very strategic in our long-term planning, which is a nice way of saying we were bad for long enough to get 2 consecutive number 1 picks, and having the opportunity to get AZ Fudd this year. It has elevated us in terms of fan engagement, awareness, and all the business metrics that go along with that. So we felt confident that we could step up and play a full season at American Airlines Center next summer. Now, mind you, it's still a big move. We're going from playing in 6,251 seats to 20,000 seats. So you're talking about 3 times the number of seats over a 25-game season. That's a lot of extra seats to fill, but we think we're ready for the challenge. We're going to invest heavily here in human capital to build out a far larger, more robust ticket sales and service group to meet that challenge. And we're excited for this offseason to see how we do leading into next summer. But first thing first, the best way we can help ourselves on that journey is to continue to win, to your point, and find ourselves in some sort of extended playoff run in September and October.
I did want to ask you this also. With the way the schedule builds out in the WNBA, there is overlap with the playoffs for the NBA and the NHL. So how would scheduling look like for the early part of next season should the Mavs and or Stars make it to the playoffs and also need, use of the AAC?
Yeah, when we were talking a minute ago, why does this take so long to get done? Those are kind of an example of the issues you have to work through. When you play a couple of games a year in the venue in the middle of summer, that's one thing. When you're talking about 25 games over the course of a season that will overlap with NHL, NBA on their back end and overlap potentially with NHL, NBA on their front end the next year, you run into those complications. And candidly, we are, fourth in line in terms of the priority in that building behind Stars, Mavericks, and, the touring shows and concerts that are already booked and scheduled to play there. So we're just going to have to deal with that. And I think, again, a credit to the leadership at American Airlines Center. They've been very good to us in that regard. But it's definitely a challenge in terms of scheduling there versus scheduling at College Park Center, where we've been the big fish in a smaller pond for the last 10 plus years.
So what would that look like if there are games on the same day? Would you guys have to reschedule, or would you go to the College Park Center for a one-off or a two-off, or do you have backup options?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's no plan to play anywhere other than American Airlines Center. So obviously when we do our regular season schedule, we'll do our best to avoid any potential windows for NHL and NBA playoffs. But as you may imagine, you don't have full clarity around those dates as early as we'll be scheduling for next summer. So there's going to have to be some contingencies involved, which is not a foreign concept in the W. We've been a little spoiled in College Park Center, always treating us as the priority. So we've really never had to deal with contingency dates and potential moves. And again, the hope is we're going to avoid that, but I can't sit here today and say that wouldn't be part of our landscape moving forward next year.
Hey, Greg, Matt Howardson here. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, is that a situation where maybe you guys build the schedule in a way, you and the WNBA together build the schedule in a way where you have, instead of having 6 of your first 12 games of the season be home games, which would be a more normal average, you have 3 of your first 12 be home games and just kind of backload the home slate? Is that just, is there fewer you have to work around?
Yeah, Mike, I think that's right. I think the front end of our schedule dealing with the back end of NHL, NBA is easier than it is the back end of our schedule. So we can certainly build a regular season that takes into consideration potential conflict. Where we run into challenges are playoffs running into the next NHL and NBA season, because we don't know our playoff dates yet. We don't know NBA and NHL regular season dates for that next summer. So the front end is not as much of a concern as the back end. But again, we feel confident we'll be able to navigate those waters, or we wouldn't have made the decision to come to AAC.
Greg, Matt Howardson here. Just one quick question. With the Mavs and the Stars obviously exiting the AAC, going to different arenas respectively, does this feel like a bit of a tryout to see if you guys could see this as a future home after they leave, or are you guys still pinned down to those other plans with the city?
Well, the tryout was last year when we put 20,000 people in the venue and set an all-time attendance record for a women's sporting event in the state of Texas. We followed that up with 16,000 for the second game. I think someone mentioned earlier today we had 13,000 plus for our first game on July 12th, which when we scheduled, we thought was going to be an Angel Reese matchup, and then it turned out not to be one. We'll have beyond that this Friday with Golden State, and then we hope to sell out August 20th when Indiana comes to town. So I feel like we've already kind of done the work to determine if the building's the right fit for us. In terms of long term, we have an agreement that we signed with the city back in 2024, and that agreement calls for a renovated Dallas Memorial Auditorium to be home of the Dallas Wings. And as far as I know, until I'm told differently, that is going to be in 2028 and moving forward. If that's not going to be the case, then there's going to have to be discussions around what that looks like for the Wings beyond 27. And I'm hopeful to have conversations with city leadership later this month to get a little bit of clarity around the timeline on the auditorium and what we're going to do as a home venue beyond the 27 summer.
Greg, Paul Livengood here. I just wanted to ask you, so with, the Cleveland franchise just announced their name the other day, the league is expanding. From your seat, how exciting is it to see, all these new expansion franchises coming in and just the growth of the league in general?
I mean, for someone who's been involved with the league since 2007, and obviously a huge believer, I would be lying if I would have told you this is what I would have seen coming back then. I certainly felt the growth and the momentum starting to build, I would say in 22, kind of coming out of COVID. And that's why we started to explore optionality for other venues beyond the 6,000 seats at College Park Center. And the conversations with the city actually started in November of 22, and that resulted in the deal in April of 24. So we felt the growth coming. We felt some wind at our back. But even as late as 24, when we signed that deal, I wouldn't have imagined we are where we are today. We had the good fortune of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and what happened with that draft class. We benefited from that indirectly, rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. The league kind of got a lift when they joined. And then again, good fortune of Paige in 25, AZ in 26, and boom, you wake up and we're doing crazy things like selling merchandise in all 50 states and 27 different countries since April, and drawing over 1.1 million average viewers for our national broadcast, reaching, over 6 million homes through our local broadcast network relationship with you all and across the state of Texas. So it's been, kind of a wild magic carpet ride here the last couple of years. And It's my job and the job of the folks who work with me to take advantage of this momentum and make sure a moment becomes something more sustained and longer. And I think we're doing that. And I think making that commitment to coming to American Airlines Center. And oh, by the way, the American Airlines Center making a commitment to us, because they have no shortage of programming optionality.
Sure.
And they look at the wings as a great option. So I think that also validates how far we've come as a business in a short amount of time.
I think I can speak for all of us in saying that we're excited that there's going to be more sports played at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, given the last few months and what that means for the future. But, certainly looking forward to next year and the years to come, Greg, and we appreciate your time kind of talking to us about the big news this week. And it sounds like the work is still just beginning for you in some ways. Like, you've come so far and, you just rattled off 4 different, potential plans. And, but that's, I think, part of what makes you, the exec that you are. And so, good on you for, carrying the torch, and whoever designed those blue alternates deserves a raise. So
I like those.
Speaking of merch, those are so fire. But
Thank
Greg,
you.
we'll let you go, man. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we'll have you on as we get into the playoffs here as well for Wings basketball. But we're going to step aside for a second. We're also going to say goodbye to Mike. Enjoy your day off in Oxnard, California, buddy.
See you guys. Thanks, Greg.
Overcast day. We'll step aside.
Thank you
We'll
so
talk
much.
some-
And hey, Mike, go jump off that waterfall behind you. It looks like a lot of fun.
Do it.
Crack my head wide open.
Thanks, guys.